Guys, we are going to do a underdog draft, which you're used to, but this is in the puppy. It's a $5 draft. It's a super flex draft. You never know who's going to end up in your draft, and I'm drafting against the big man. Evan Silva's in this one. Let's see if we know anybody else who's in this one. Fresh Picks, Dubes, both have badges, so they're experienced players. I don't recognize any of the other names, but like, somebody get Silva in the chat. Bring him in here. Let's see if we can get him in to talk about this. I'll get him on a Zoom call if we can in the middle of the draft and talk through this.
He's a legend.
Did not expect the big dog to be in this draft with me, but this is a super flex league, so a little bit different. It is a puppy. There will be 56,000, 250,000 in prizes, 50K to first place for this one. This one's about to fill. It's already about 80% full. The puppies fill in like a week. The differences for this one: A, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. So not 3 in your starting lineup. There are 2 flex positions. One of them is a super flex that you are allowed to play a quarterback. So quarterbacks go ridiculously early in this one for obvious reasons. We drew, guess what? Guess what pick we drew, chat? Guess where we're drafting from? Just for some variety, we're picking from the 7 spot. The variety is that we're going to be drafting in Superflex. So that's going to change everything up. If you've never seen a Superflex draft, welcome to one. The first 2 rounds out of 24 picks will probably be 18 to 20 quarterbacks, as people want to get that second quarterback. Some teams are going to draft 3. So the typical style of drafting, if you've played best ball, is people tend to pick and fill out their lineups. The earliest quarterback right now, ADP-wise, is going like the 3rd round, and that's Josh Allen. You can see he was the 1.1 in this draft. Now, as we move forward, you get your quarterbacks first, and then you try to build correlation after that as the draft goes along. So some quarterbacks have pass catchers whose ADPs are extremely high, and building those stacks is very difficult to get things to break your way after you've gotten your guy, your quarterback or your quarterbacks that you're trying to build stacks around. Other quarterbacks have pass catchers and tight ends that that just have a lower ADP naturally, so they're easier to build stacks around if you wanted to reach by like a half a round to get the guy that you want. They made this very easy for me. I'm going to take Joe Burrow in this spot. Joe Burrow does have a pass catching core that is a little bit more aggressive. If I wanted to double stack this with his wide receivers, with Jamar Chase, as you could say, his ADP is around 17. T. Higgins ADP in this draft, where is he? Right around here at 42. You'd have to go very early to get both of those. Russ Wilson, solid quarterback, very easy to stack, very honestly, with 2 or 3 options. Trey Lance, I've been getting him around the turn in the drafts that I've been doing around 11 and 12, because I've got like 20 slow drafts going for the puppy. I have a lot of Trey Lance because 10, 11, 12, you end up with something like that. Cup Stafford, nice stack there at the 12 and 13 pick, right at the end of round 1 turn. So you get an extremely valuable QB stack. Tom Brady goes there. Love the Tom Brady stacks too. I was kind of hoping to get Brady along with him. We'll see who I end up with here. I'm definitely going QB in this spot. And if I don't get Jamar Chase, then I just don't get Jamar Chase. But going QB is where I should go here. See, but like he took Rodgers, and like I don't love Carr. So now Jamar Chase is in the wheelhouse for me, because I wanted one of Brady or Rodgers here to go with a second QB. I can get a lesser QB down in here as my QB2 in the next round. I'm going to go for the premium stack. Let's go with this. It's a little different than where I normally end up, and we'll see what I'm left with in the 3rd round. But as you can see the board, it's all QBs, right? Taylor and McCaffrey go here. Prescott and Tom Brady match with them. They're going to have to get like a bottom of the barrel 25 through 30 QB in that spot. Justin Jefferson here, I assume, hoping that Kirk Cousins makes it back to them. Just said definitely going QB. Things change quickly in a fast draft. You have a 30-second clock. I pretty much have gone QB in, let's say, 80% plus of my slow drafts that I've done for Superflex. Kirk Cousins does not make it back to Sullivan Chris. Evan Silva went Travis Kelce, so he did what I did. He went for the premium player instead of the QB2 in that spot. Devontae Adams, he's going to go with Carr here, right? No, Carr's gone. Carr went right after my pick. That's who I was going to take. Superflex is 100% wild. What is this wizardry? Chad is never surprised by the fact that my ability to draw that 7 pick. A lot of wide receivers going. They're leaving me a QB, which I love. Andrews, look at this. Silva going with the double tight end situation here. knowing that there is an extra flex spot, knowing that he's going to need somebody in the flex, and breaking up people's stacks is an interesting route to go. I've gone premium tight end numerous times, 2 top 5 or 6 tight ends in Superflex just to see where I can get. I'm left with exactly what I wanted in this spot. I wanted Daniel Jones, who's easy to stack with, and I wanted Trevor Lawrence. The QBs that are left available, Jones, Lawrence, Wilson. I have a bye week of 10. That knocks Wilson off of my list. I'm more excited about the stacking options with Daniel Jones. So I'm going to go with Daniel Jones, Joe Burrow. Those are my ride or die guys in this draft. Yeah, Silva definitely bullying the room early. Definitely bullying the room early. So I don't normally set up my queue when I'm drafting live because it lets people know where I'm going. But like everybody knows where you're going. So like Burrow, let's put Higgins. I'm just going to mark off every one of their passing guys. Every one of the targets, right? First, just so you can see how this stuff kind of falls. Daniel Jones, we're going to go Tony. Probably going to have to rip Tony out of Evan's hands. Galladay. And then we got later guys, right? But those are the primary stacking options in that offense. Leonard Fournette, Aaron Jones, Saquon Barkley at 36. Coming back to me here. Nick Chubb went there. I've got Javonte Williams. Alvin Kamara is falling like a stone. I think there's still running backs out there that I can get. I still like the running backs that are waiting for me. And I think CeeDee Lamb is way too much of a value here at 42 to pass up on. Way too much of a value there to pass up. Burrow's going to have a massive season. I agree, but like he's a quarterback. So like I think there's 12 quarterbacks. Right now, Stafford is being drafted very typically as the QB 12. So if Matthew Stafford in the Rams offense is your QB, draft another tight end, Evan. Damn, drafted Big Mike. On brand so far for Evan. Let's bring back the chart here so you can see everything. Williams, then Waller. There's a lot of value in going double at premium tight end, especially in smaller drafts. If you're doing like 3-man drafts or 6-man drafts, having 2 tight ends, 2 premium tight, 2 of the top 5. Having a Mark Andrews and a Kelsey, having a Mark Andrews and a Waller or a Kittle or a Pitts is a much different tier. All of those secondary guys, all those number 1 guys in that first tier are clearly maybe even a whole tier above the next guys, unless Dalton Schultz, in the absence possibly of Michael Gallup early in the season, turns into something. You can see Alvin Kamara being drafted there. Keenan Allen, he did not get him. He went right before him. Unfortunate for his Chargers double stack in that spot. He's fuming. You know he's fuming. He just pounded. He just broke a table. His second quarterback is going to be interesting in this spot. Let's bring the draft board back up. We're 2 away from me. Top picks left on the board. Zach Wilson, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. Talked on the 06010 with Mike Clay. That's his number 1 QB2 stack. That's his top QB2 stack. Plenty of quarterbacks available for anybody that only has 1, as most have 2. Mac Jones goes there. I still have all of these premium guys remaining. I want to get a running back in this spot. I do value George Kittle, but like, I guess totally on brand for me. Totally on brand for me to take Ezekiel Elliott there. I didn't get Higgins, as you can see. I went CeeDee Lamb here. Higgins went at the turn. I was kind of hoping he would make it back to me here. I could go for that double stack, right? But there's so much more value to me in having... I've got the 1 stack. I can get another player later in Boyd. I can get another player later in Hurst if I want the Burrow double for correlation purposes. But just having that extra superstar, I do think that CeeDee Lamb is going to outscore T. Higgins on the year. And having those extra points, you have to make the playoffs in order for that double steam to be the thing. Who's his favorite QB stack? Mike Clay's was the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, and all of their pass catchers that they have there. The rookie Williams, who's going to miss a few games, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the tight end Hawkinson, and everybody else that they have, DJ Chark, was his number 1. My number 1 secondary stack was right here, was Daniel Jones. That video is up on this channel already as my number 1 QB2 stack. It's going to be interesting to see if you only have 1 QB. So the Josh Allen team has 1 QB. Evan's team only has 1 QB. It's going to be interesting to see who they get as their QB2. This team only has 1 QB. I would assume that they would get another one here. I am Ron Burgundy. They did not. Okay. Bold strategy, Cotton. We're going to see if it pays off. Zach Wilson's your number 1 secondary stack. My video's up. He's in it. He's one of the cover boys in that video. So I like him too this year. And to me, it's not just about the quarterback. In terms of like my QB2, whether it's super flex or whether it's a straight up BBM draft or whatever. To me, it's more about Breece Hall goes there. Man, Jalen Waddle's still available. And I don't have to worry about like ADP for any of these guys right in this spot. Top tight end right now. Dalton Schultz at 79. I'm going to wait on running back. I'm going to go Waddle in this spot. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle. All right. I think I'm pretty good at wide receiver to start off. Obviously have Burrow and Jones, Ezekiel Elliott as my RB1. I have clicked that name so many times. I have clicked so much Ezekiel Elliott this summer that I hope that he's fine. I really hope that he's fine. Davis Mills for Evan Silva. Waited till the 6th round to get his QB2. Reports on Nico Collins. Another good late stack. You can get Brandon Cooks to go with him. 2 super late round other players to stack with him. Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, if you don't happen to get Brandon Cooks. So you can correlate him pretty easily. Checking in from Hockey Camp. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. All these drafts I live stream on Twitch. So if you're watching on YouTube, Smizzle.tv/links will have links to like all my socials, Twitch included. Go drop a follow over on Twitch and you can catch the live stream. During the off season, I'm live pretty much 4 days a week. I take Thursdays off. Some weeks I'll take other days off during the week. During the regular season of the NFL, I'm live 6 days a week from like 9 to noon. Almost like a radio show. 9 to noon on same Twitch channel every single day. Smizzle.tv/live. I feel like Superflex, you either go all in, and he went with a 3 QB system, right? So he's got Justin Herbert to lock it down, and then he's just got to get a good week out of either one of these other quarterbacks to go along with. But building that correlation out is going to be interesting to see. 1, if he does it, or 2, well, he didn't get Terry McLaurin, or 2, where he's going to prioritize. Speaking of Evans' draft. I am watching because Evan's a name, and he's a friend of mine, and obviously I respect him and his football knowledge. We draft our team. I'm not going to block any of his players for the sake of blocking any of his players. We are going to draft our team as our team goes along because that's more important. Something else we talked about on that show yesterday. Elijah Mitchell, Antonio Gibson, God. Like, I want to draft a running back, but, you know, you're just leaving me too many good young wide receivers. Like, I could easily take Antonio Gibson there, but, like, also, you let me have Jerry Jeudy in this spot. So I'm going to take Jerry Jeudy in that spot. Just like, you know, you left me Jamar Chase, so I'm just going to take Jamar Chase in that spot. And in terms of correlation, we're looking around 110 before we have to think about our next ADP correlated player with our quarterback. So I can just draft best available until that spot because of how late the rest of these stacks go. Similar to, you know, if you draft like Zach Wilson, similar if you draft Trevor Lawrence, you don't have to worry about filling the middle rounds. You can just value hunt, you know, in rounds 3 through like 9 or 10. You can simply value hunt and get the guys that you want to fill out your roster as best as you possibly can, which opens up a lot of angles. I'm not going to lie to you. Opens up a ton of angles and allows me to build whatever best possible team I can build without really having to worry about where I'm going with this team. Rashad Bateman, I'm going to get one of the 2 guys that I really want in this spot. There's one of 2 that I want here. We were thinking about taking Antonio Gibson at that last spot. I'm going to take Antonio Gibson here. The other one that I was considering was Miles Sanders. If Gibson went, I would take Sanders. So solid. Cooks does not fall to Evan. Went 2-3 picks beforehand. We clearly don't need that wide receiver. I have 4 young stud wide receivers, all in potential breakout situations with the exception of maybe Waddle because of the presence of Tyreek Hill. So that's going to cap his volume expectations in that spot. Sanders goes before it can come back to me, obviously. Tony Pollard, a good pick here. The ADP gap, not as wide for Tony Pollard in Superflex as it has been in regular. So in the Best Ball Mania and the original puppy, Ezekiel Elliott going in the 3rd or 4th rounds. Typically, Tony Pollard going in like the 9th, 10th round. So much bigger ADP gap in those tournaments. I would prefer Pollard in those tournaments if I have to reach for get a 40% type running back with upside, as opposed to having to take him in this spot. Gator Tom, welcome back to the stream. Hello from Vegas. He says, I saw your picture that you posted that you got with Negreanu. Is that the first time that you met him? I know that you've been a big fan of his for a long time. Am I not looking at game correlation for week 17 till later? It's not something I obsess over, specifically not in a smaller tournament like this one. It's something I will consider as we go along, but it's a way different situation when you're playing 50,000 a 50,000 person tournament as opposed to a couple 100,000 person tournament. When you're playing a 30-man or a 40-man final as opposed to playing, a ton of teams in the final where you really have to work to differentiate and beat everybody to get up to the top. This is much more tame in the puppies, especially this puppy being Superflex, being half the size of the ones that came before it. Kenny Pickett, question of whether he is going to win the quarterback job there or not. Dallas Goedert, I'm basically getting everything I want so far in this draft. We're going with Kadarius Toney, another solid young wide receiver, and gives me a solid correlation play with Daniel Jones. I know that I'm wide receiver heavy. I understand that I'm playing fast and loose at tight ends, but I do believe that there is value at tight end, and I can get my standard build for a puppy Superflex draft, it being a 20-round draft as opposed to 18, which the best ball manias and the original puppy were. I can go after 3 quarterbacks if I choose. I typically am going to draft 3 tight ends. I may draft 4 in this one because I'm going to be drafting later tight ends in this draft. Hunter Renfrow goes in that spot. So even though my preferred draft spots are, let's say 1, 2, 11, 12, somewhere near the edges, right? Even 3 or 10 are fine with me. I guess I've drafted so much from 6, 7, 8 so far this summer in the, 50, 75 drafts. I don't know how many drafts I've done. Somewhere in that range. That drafting in the middle of the round doesn't bother me as much as it used to bother me. Like, it used to be just like, God damn it, I'm drafting from there again. This sucks. And then, it doesn't suck as bad at this point. We don't have a tight end. Best tight ends available: Dawson Knox, Mike Gesicki, Zach Ertz, Irv Smith, Hunter Henry, Aquaboonum. There goes Ertz. I'll pull the draft board back up after our pick here. We've just been moving along pretty quickly in this draft. And they left me the exact guy that I wanted in this spot. So you were asking me about playoff correlation. There's your playoff correlation to go with the Jimmy B stack. So Dawson Knox, my tight end 1. I'm going to have 3. I might have 4. The Giants playing up in pace during the playoffs as well. I'll pick this up to about here. No, let's put it up here. A lot of wide receivers in the middle rounds. A lot of running backs start going around here. Plenty of rookie wide receivers. Treylon Burks for Tennessee. Sky Moore from Kansas City. Evan going with the 4 quarterback system. Going with Marcus Mariota. I don't hate Marcus Mariota. I don't know how many touchdowns that team is going to score. But Mariota at least gives them the option and gives you the option fantasy-wise because of his legs and the potential that he can add there to give you a higher floor than most of the other quarterbacks being drafted between QB 20 and QB 29, which is usually around where he goes. I would definitely prefer him to Kenny Pickett. Patterson and Chase Edmonds go at the turn. Chris Olave. Devin Singletary, that was kind of who I wanted at this pick. Again, another player that I've clicked a whole lot this offseason. Devin Singletary, I think that he is a massive value where he is currently being drafted. Mike Clay really likes Garrett Wilson. I have not clicked Garrett Wilson a lot. I haven't. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. It's always possible. All right. I'm just going to go with Tyler Boyd in this spot. Let's get another correlated wide receiver. So Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, Joe Burrow on top of my Cincinnati stack. Running back is going to be, like I said, running back and tight end. I'm playing pretty fast and loose. I have 2 players that I am confident in their abilities, but their usages have not been fantastic in past years. I only need 2 to start. I'm going to fill the flex most weeks with one of my quarterbacks. I'm going to fill the flex most weeks with these wide receivers as well. All of them have 20-plus point upside on any given week. But that's where the value was, so I'm taking what is given to me by the draft. No tight ends either for Herm Lane. Still no tight ends for Herm Lane. I'm interested to see what you guys think about James Cook versus Devin Singletary. There goes Garrett Wilson. Mitch Trubisky. Let's move this up since we've moved down. Baker Mayfield, by the way, went at 108. There's 3 paths to Baker Mayfield being a starting quarterback. One, obviously in Cleveland, Deshaun doesn't play if he gets suspended, and they're just like, look, Baker, give us 1 season, then we'll let you go. He'll play there. Or Seattle gives them a deal for him. They pick up draft picks. They punt this season and build a future around the $7 trillion that they guaranteed to Deshaun Watson and all of his masseuses. Or he goes to, Carolina, with all the weapons that they have there. So there's 3 paths to him being a viable super flex quarterback or a last round pick for you at quarterback if you're drafting a regular best ball BBM team. We're on the clock next. Let's go back to this screen. Our team is heavily overweighted at wide receiver. We're massively overweighted at wide receiver. Top running backs available: Rashad White, Damian Pierce, Michael Carter. Top tight ends available: Mike Gesicki and Irv Smith. I'm going to go with Irv Smith in this spot. Kenny Galladay staring at us with the cute star. Adam WX says, Moore is the Jets wide receiver you want this season. I mean, he's the one I've clicked the most. Wilson, you're not sold, is the immediate number 1. Moore is currently your wide receiver 12 for redraft. Elijah Moore, that is. Yeah. Again, Irv Smith, one of the players that I've clicked more. He's one of my most drafted players this season. I do kind of have to start filling out some of these other positions on the team. I don't have good enough running backs to go true hyper fragile. I can go a little bit lighter at wide receiver just because I've allowed myself the possibility. Love the value that Jarvis Landry brings to the table with or without Michael Thomas. So, like, if Jarvis Landry is on a team that has Olave and Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry is perfectly fine where he's being drafted in the 12th round in Superflex and like the 10th round in a regular draft. Love that pick. Like, you're drafting him basically at what his floor would be if everybody's there. What if Michael Thomas doesn't play? All of a sudden, you're getting like a 7th round or an 8th round wide receiver because he's going to have a 20% target percentage in that situation. Jameson Williams going ahead of him, who isn't even going to play the first month. We're getting into the question right here of correlation versus roster build. So Kenny Galladay would be the correlation play for me. He's also at a value right now versus ADP. But I really, really, really need to get somebody that's going to give me something on an every week basis when it comes to running back. And Michael Carter, even though Breece Hall was drafted, the ADP discount on one versus the other, getting him at 151 in the middle of the 13th round, gives me that 40% guy. And in the case that Breece Hall gets injured, not hoping he gets injured, but injuries are prevalent at running back. If he gets injured, Michael Carter now steps into a 60 to 70% lion's share of the work. And as good as he is in the passing game, and as improved as I believe that offense is going to be, I like that pick there. Galladay obviously going the pick afterwards. So I don't get that correlation, but like, whatever. I like the spot that I'm in a lot better with Michael Carter than Kenny Galladay as my wide receiver 6, although he would add correlation. It's not something that I needed to chase as hard. Now, that's a question that you can ask for the value bros versus the correlation gang, right? Because the value bros are going to say, you know what? You needed to get the value running back that you know is going to be on the field because you have to play 2 every week. And you only need to play 2 wide receivers every week. The correlation bros are going to say, yeah, bro, but for the playoffs, you got to have all the correlation in the world, including bringbacks. I'll be all right with my QB2 stack in that spot. How does potential Kamara suspension impact Landry for you? It ups his role. It makes his target percentage higher. If you subtract a 14% or 15% market share guy in Alvin Kamara, and you replace him with literally anyone else, and in that situation, it's going to be like Mark Ingram, who is a solid receiver out of the backfield, but not somebody who's ever going to command 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 targets a week. You're looking at like a 9% target share versus a 15% target share. So those other 5, 6% are going to get sprinkled along the other guys. The biggest impact for him is clearly Michael Thomas, but if they don't have Thomas and Kamara, the targets go up, but the quality of targets probably go down because they're not going to be as many red zone targets. There's not going to be as many scoring opportunities. There just won't. I don't need a new G-Force driver. Thank you very much. Gainwell, Hines, Herbert, Jamal Williams. Don't really feel like I need to draft any of them at the spot that we're at in this draft. Cam Brate going in the 14th round in Superflex. Obviously gets a bump, but like I think that the bump that he's gotten might be too high considering what he did in the absence of Gronk last season. Jacoby Myers, Corey Davis. I don't have too many guys that are missing in that spot. I'm going to leapfrog here a little bit. I think Jamison Crowder's too cheap. So I'm going to pick him. It's at 162. It's below his ADP. I'm using the establish the run rankings. They have him further down below somebody like Corey Davis, who is somebody I've clicked a ton this offseason, but has a lower ADP. And even though he's higher here and they suggest taking him over somebody like Jamison Crowder, I get a ADP value at Crowder, and I can still get Corey Davis later if that's the route that I want to go. My wide receivers are clearly going to carry this team, as I only need 2 running backs to play, and we're going to try and find a couple of other guys that can contribute on a week-in, week-out basis to go and get us home. I'm going to need 4 tight ends. 1, which is something that we saw earlier. 1, I have 2 tight ends that I like a lot, but both have a week 7 bye week. I have plenty of guys still available on the list that I think can contribute that will not have a week 7 bye week. And I did not and do not need to draft a 3rd quarterback, even though in Superflex I will draft 3 QBs way more often than I'll do it in regular because of the value of having that 2nd flex spot filled with a quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm very comfortable with at running back. I know that other people aren't based on the performance last year. Antonio Gibson is what he is, and we've got to hope that he breaks out, hopefully, with better quarterback play. Now, a lot of people are going to think that, well, Wentz really an upgrade? Wentz is actually an upgrade over what they've had before. So more trips to the red zone, more trips inside the 10 potentially means more touchdown opportunities, more scoring opportunities, more on-target throws, more sustained drives would lead to Antonio Gibson being in a better spot. And I do have 40% of the play for Michael Carter. Approaching pick 175, top running backs available: Williams, Mostert, Gus Edwards, TDP, McKissick, Darrell Williams. I've been value hunting a lot in this draft. 42 versus an ADP, 66 versus 58, 79 versus 71. I am going to go with a wide receiver. Nah. I'm going to go with a tight end in this spot. I'm going to take my 3rd tight end with Hayden Hurst. I'm reaching half a round on ADP because I'd rather get him here than force and hope that he's going to be there later. I get my 3 players to go along with Joe Burrow. I don't have Higgins to go with him, but I have 3 of the 4 players that are going to get the majority of the work, and I can take a tight end from rounds 18 to 20 of whatever's left to just give me that other player. And the ADPs on the running backs are so much lower that I'll be taking 1 or 2 of them probably ahead of ADP, but they're nobody that's super important to me. Gus Edwards, coming off of the knee injury that he's sustained last year. Corey Davis now goes at 178, an ADP value there. Noah Fant, I like this Josh Palmer pick from Evan. Higbee, Van Jefferson, both go along. Remember, this is a team that drafted Kupp and Stafford, so a Rams super stack for Dubes 14. Alec Pierce, the big rookie. Big, not like he's a big... You say big like size. He is a tall individual. He's a large human. Sam Darnold got drafted. Good for Sam Darnold. Evan Engram, Marvin Jones. Pick comes back to us now. Now we can take either Williams or Mostert. Williams in a 40% spot. Mostert gets injured so much. But I get that ADP spot where I can take him later if I choose. That pick here comes down to 2 things for me. So let's talk about Mostert for a second. The Mostert pick comes down to if I believe that he is going to stay healthy, which is something he has struggled to do in past seasons. He is clearly a talented running back in a system that he knows with a coach that brought him there from the previous team that they worked together. You'd have to think that he gets the first shot at the lion's share of the carries in what projects to be a very good offense. And based on the fact that they have Jalen Waddle and Gesicki who can stretch the field through the seam at tight end and Tyreek Hill as well, whoever the running back is, whether it's Mostert or whether it's Sony Michel, should be running against a lot of light boxes. Now, somebody's going to say you didn't mention Chase Edmonds, because Chase Edmonds, no matter what happens, is not going to be a 20 to 25 touch per game guy. That's just not what is in his skill set. He might do it a week, but he's not somebody, regardless of the injuries that they have, that they are going to hand the ball to and throw the ball to week in, week out, 20 to 25 times. They're not going to give him that amount of opportunity because his body just has not shown that it can handle that over time. He might get it 1 week. He might get it 2 weeks. It comes down to if you like Raheem Mostert or if you think that he is going to get injured and Sony Michel is going to spell him. MN Headhunter with a very interesting build, going with Josh Allen, a bunch of running backs. He is hoping that Alvin Kamara does not get suspended in that spot. 1 tight end at this spot. It's an interesting build. No offense, no slight. It's just an interesting build. In Superflex specifically. And now locking up Geno Smith in the 16th. It's a dangerous game you play when you play that game of chicken in Superflex and see how late you can wait on a quarterback. So if you're going to do it, I do like the way Evan did it in this draft. Like, He gets Herbert. He gets a bunch of stud guys to go along with him. He missed his double stack by 1 pick, got sniped for Keenan Allen there, and then gets a starter, and a starter with 3 guys splitting his super flex spot, knowing that 13 of the first 14 weeks, Herbert should be there, and then having 3 other quarterbacks that can eat up that secondary spot. It's a lot of quarterbacks to draft. They all do have a solid floor. Typical quarterbacks will score 14 points, and based on matchups, any one of them could have a 20 to 25 point game. So he should be able to lock up, let's say, 40 to 50 points out of his QB and Superflex spot every single week of the season, where I should be able to get, let's say, 40 out of Joe Burrow and Daniel Jones. But there's going to be those 2 weeks that I'm going to have to fill that in. And I'm hoping, based on my roster build, that my wide receivers are going to be able to carry the weight and carry the water for me in those spots. Time for our next pick. I am going to go with Mostert in this spot. I don't have any bye week problems with my running backs. 9, 14, 10, 6, and 11. So although I don't have like a robust running back build, I have a minimum of 4 running backs available to me every single week of the season thus far. I'm going to draft 6 running backs. There will be another running back more than likely that I draft. That's the plan, unless there's nothing left out there that I like. And I want to get a 4th wide receiver, a 4th tight end to go along with this in the next, we have an 18, 19, 20th round. So I'm looking at a wide receiver, a running back, and a tight end in no particular order, whichever falls to me. And I'm trying to find profit. Sensor asks, why did Travis Kelce go so late? It's a super flex draft, so the ADPs are different from a regular Best Ball Mania draft. Will Fuller was going to be the guy that I picked here. Solid pick there. Massive upside. If Will Fuller signs with the right team, and the right team, in my opinion, being one of Indianapolis or Baltimore, Best Ball price tag shoots way up. Just because of the opportunity in both spots. Matt Ryan can still throw a deep ball, and there's opportunity for playing time. Same thing in Baltimore. If he's playing opposite Bateman as the number 2 guy, you get yourself an awful lot of opportunity. Just a whole lot. Those would be the 2 best landing spots for him. Mark Ingram was who I was also targeting in this spot. Logan Thomas, longtime favorite of the show. So I'm kind of forced into a running back here because there's just nothing left, right? You get down in here and it's a ugly. It is not pretty. I'm going to try and shoot for the moon with Zamir White, who I believe being brought in with this regime versus the past regime, I know that Josh Jacobs is there. You're not getting a starting running back at this point in the draft. I think that if Jacobs is out, Zamir White kind of takes over a much larger role as this regime not married to Kenyon Drake. I think that he has a possibility of leapfrogging Drake because, everybody hates him. So Zamir White with a possibility of starting the season as that 30% guy and moving into a bigger role if Josh Jacobs gets injured, leaving me with a need at tight end specifically. Not a massive need, but like a need. And I would like to nab a wide receiver, likely with my last pick, because as you can see, there are still wide receivers out there, that are going to contribute at least a little bit. Plenty of them left on the board. I think Evan's going to take Brevin Jordan in this spot. I think this is his guy. If Nico Collins is still available, it might be him. There it is. Nico Collins, and I think he wants to get Brevin Jordan on the way back, but Brevin Jordan goes right there. We just talked about this yesterday, and Mike's going to hate me. Mike is not going to like it. Mike, look away. Look away. Mike Clay, don't tell Mike that I just drafted Ricky in the 19th round. Don't tell him. He's going to be angry. He's not going to be a happy. Michael will not be a happy bear knowing that I just drafted Ricky Seals-Jones. But there was nobody left. I wanted Brevin Jordan, but it didn't happen. He's my tight end 4, though. I kind of like the way this team is snapping up. Devin Duvernay. Let's look at the wide receivers that I think are most viable in this spot. Okay, well, it was going to be James Washington. Cedric Wilson. Sterling Shepard might miss time, but he's viable. We're not clicking him. Romeo Doubs was brought to our attention earlier this offseason. As you can see, not all that much left on the table, but a player like this is not going to appear in our lineup very often based on the wide receivers that we have. Based on this being our wide receivers core, where you play 2 of them and then maybe 1 or 2 in flex depending on the week. Brian Edwards would have been another one that should have been on that list. Moving to Atlanta, where they just don't have a lot of guys in the wide receiver room outside of the rookie London. Obviously, Pitts is going to be their, in my opinion, their leading wide receiver in terms of target percentage and overall targets as long as he stays healthy. Justin Ross season? No. I know what you're doing there, but I'm not going to go that route. McKenzie? No, I already have Crowder and I have Dawson Knox. I have all the week 17 matchup potential that I need there. Shepard could be the correlation guy. He projects to be the starter in the slot as long as he's healthy, but how long has he been healthy? Like ever. I already have a Miami Dolphin. Is Chicago even going to throw the ball? Nick Westbrook in kind says that the beat writers are saying how much he is doing well and projects to be a starter, possibly ahead of the rookie. However, that probably won't last for very long as Treylon Burks is more talented than him. But Westbrook did play well enough last season to earn at least a role on that team. And he's, again, not drafting him to be a difference maker on this team. But if there is a couple of weeks, maybe 1 week he has 1 touchdown, maybe some other random week he has 2, he might find his way into my starting lineup. I want players that are in rotation on their team getting targets. There goes Isaiah McKenzie to Evan Silva at the 2010. Let's bring up the draft board to finish this one off. It's going to be behind me, so you're not going to see it. Universal God on the clock with 10 seconds left. I really like the way my draft shook out here. I could have nabbed a third quarterback after getting the first 2, but I was getting such good value everywhere else that I'm not against it. And the problem with the thing we were hammering home on the 06-0-0 podcast yesterday is when you're drafting best ball teams, you want to focus on everything's going to go right. So this team is focused on Joe Burrow and Daniel Jones being healthy the whole season and doing what they do. Nab Jamar Chase to go along with Burrow in the second round. CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Antonio Gibson, Kadarius Toney, Dawson Knox, Tyler Boyd to go along with Burrow. Irv Smith, who probably my favorite value tight end on the season. Michael Carter, who already has a role and can step into a bigger one. Jamison Crowder, that slot role in Buffalo is so valuable. And the week 17 matchup, the playoff matchup, that we get that correlation with Hayden Hurst stepping into the CJ Uzomah role. Jamal Williams, another 40% guy. Raheem Mostert, praying to the fantasy gods that he can stay healthy. Zamir White is my long shot at running back. Same with Ricky Seals-Jones at tight end. Same with Nick Westbrook in kind at my wide receiver, 7 or 8 spot. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy the draft. Leave a reply down below. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.